What is up, my beautiful people? Exile451 here with you again today. Happy Friday, everyone. We're digging into a new subreddit today, Tales from the Customer, and I've got some stories of service that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Now sit back, relax, and let's hear some Tales from the Customer. You're getting a tip, come hell or high water. I was probably 15 and my sister was 12. My parents were seeing a movie with their friends, and my sister and I tagged along for the ride to get dinner and hang out in the shopping area while the movie was going on. Dad gives us $20 for dinner. Sister and I explain that we won't be able to get dinner for $20 in the area. There was no fast food or even fast casual walking distance, and we lived in a tourist destination with hefty markups everywhere downtown. Dad continues to dad it up and insists there's no way dinner for two will cost more than $20. We go to a deli, our best bet, and are really careful to account for tip when ordering. We thought we were in good shape, but being children, we forgot to consider tax, and the total comes out to 19 and change. Our lovely server comes back and takes our 20. We explain the situation, but promise we'll be right back with the tip. He was friendly enough and said goodnight, took it like a champ, though warned us they were about to close. Sister and I hoof it back to the movie theater where we tell the ticket taker we have an emergency and sister is let into the theater to find my dad. She's quickly back out with cash and we're running back to the deli again. Deli is, of course, closed by now, but we didn't get this far for nothing. We start knocking on the windows to get the attention of the closers. We couldn't hear, but when they saw us, they started laughing. And our server soon came out from the back, fully cracking up. He opened the door and thanked us a few times. His coworkers were saying stuff like, "No way." And we heard him say, "Yeah, it's the same too," as the door shut. At the time, we were mildly offended. We said we were coming back. Now, over a decade later, and both of us having restaurant/hospitality jobs under our belt, we love it and totally understand. No way anyone who ever pulled this crap before came back, especially kids. At least he got a solid tip. Dad only had a 10 and we were not asking anyone to break it after all that. So enjoy your 50% tip for our idiocy and youthful naivete, server. I hope we gave you a good story. Well, OP, it certainly sounds like you did. I mean, you're right. 99% of the time, I doubt people in that same situation would bother to come back, even if they intended to. That is such an awesome story, and for you to do something so noble when you were that young speaks very highly of your own personal character. Thank you so much for sharing the story, and I'm glad that you were able to have that experience that young. Got the wrong order, but I wasn't complaining. So, this happened a few years ago. I was turning 27, I think. And since my parents live close by, they offered to take me out wherever I wanted for dinner. I absolutely love ribs, like seriously love them. But at the time, there weren't any really authentic barbecue places around where we were, so I had to settle for a chain restaurant with a giant pepper in the title. You know who I mean. To be clear, I have nothing against them. In fact, I have a number of very fond memories from going to dinner there with my family when I was growing up, and I actually find a lot of their food to be quite enjoyable. Anyways, I order a full rack of ribs because it's my birthday and my parents are paying for it, so why not? I still probably would have ordered a full rack. Like I said, I love ribs. They ask if I want a dry or wet rub, and I asked if I could do a 50-50 split, to which they said sure. Well, the order comes out, about average wait time, and it's a full wet rack. By this point though, I'd honestly forgotten I asked for a 50-50 split and was just happy to see my food. So naturally, I go to town. About a quarter of the way through, our server comes out and says somewhere along the line, a mistake got made and the order got mixed up, and that I was still due a half rack of dry rub as well. They wanted to make things right, so they were going to give us a half rack of dry rub for free. I honestly would have been fine with just the wet rack, but I'm not going to say no to free ribs. My dad chuckled a bit after the server went back and said there was no way I could down a rack and a half of ribs. I just looked at him and said, I feel as though I've been issued a challenge, and kept eating. They brought it out, and save for a small section I gave my dad because he wanted to try it, I ate the entire thing. I was waddling out of there, but man, it was worth it. And knowing my dad, I'm sure he left a generous tip for them recognizing their error and taking steps to correct it. Thankfully, now where I live, there's a few good barbecue places nearby, including one really good one. But I can't go overboard because I'm married now and my wife keeps me in line. A price I happily pay, but still, ribs. Anyways, that's always been one good story that I felt would be worth sharing to break up the endless ones of terrible experiences here. Stuff just happens though. Restaurant workers are human and are therefore fallible just like the rest of us. Treat them with respect and you're going to get great service. Well, OP, that line can really go for just about anything in life. You treat people with respect, they are far more likely to give you above and beyond service than they would be if you were to berate them, belittle them, and just be a general jerk. Like you said, mistakes happen. We're all human. In the end, what have you really lost, especially at a restaurant? It may take them a little longer to get your food out. Are you really in that big of a hurry? Thank you so much for sharing the story, and let me tell you, I am right there with you on ribs. They are an amazing food. Our amazing waitress. Yesterday, we decided to take our kids, 21 months and 6 weeks, to the zoo. It went better than we expected, and they were worn out by the time we left. They were taking a nap before we even left the parking lot. We decided to let them nap in the car while we drove to get some dinner. And we decided to try a burger joint we hadn't been to before. It was on the way home, but a 40-minute drive from the zoo, so the kids got a nice little nap and had woken up by the time we got there. Everything started out okay. Our waitress was great and getting us taken care of quickly. But by the time the appetizer came, our toddler started melting down. None of the normal tricks or distractions were working, and he was screaming and absolutely losing it. So I took him outside to walk up and down the sidewalk to cool off and calm down. While I was out there, my husband came out and said he asked the waitress to bring boxes with the food so we could just head home. But she suggested moving us out to the back patio. She said no one ever really sat out there, so our toddler could run around and be loud without bothering other customers. So we head back inside and she is moving our dinner out to the patio. When we get out there, we see a good-sized patio that we get all to ourselves, and it is right next to a large lawn he can run around in. She also brings out a cornhole set and shows him how to put the bags in the hole. He loved doing that and was occupied with it for quite a while. Then he happily ran around the whole patio and lawn without anyone trying to rein him in. You couldn't have found a happier toddler at this point. When she brought the checkout to us, she picked up our son and took him over to a hammock and showed him how to swing on it. And he had a nice, relaxing swing. She told me as she was cleaning our table that she has 3 kids of her own and knows what it's like. So she wanted to make sure we could enjoy our dinner out. She was absolutely amazing. And this was probably my best experience eating out. She went above and beyond the norm and turned a screaming meltdown into the happiest end of an already good day. We thanked her profusely and tipped her well. She definitely deserved it. Well, OP, that is a wonderful story. I mean, I have to admit, I've never heard of a restaurant having a cornhole set or a hammock nearby, but it sounds like that was an extremely convenient thing for her to be able to pull out. I can get where you're coming from. I have siblings that were significantly younger than I was, and so I remember what it was like to have a toddler screaming in the middle of a crowded restaurant. Oh, how I wish someone had done this for us back in those days. That is an incredible waitress and a great testament to the quality of employee that place hires. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I'm so glad for you that something that could have been an absolutely terrible ending turned out to be a very good one for you and your family. How it should be done. Yesterday, my dad and I went out for some lunch. My dad ordered his steak medium rare. Confession, I have no clue what that means. I just ordered a cheeseburger. Ultimately, it was really burnt. So what does my dad do? Make a huge scene and demand a manager? Throw the steak in the waitress's face? None of that. He simply says, I hate to be that guy, but I ordered it medium rare. The waitress simply says, sorry about that, and takes it back. She later comes back with a medium rare steak and says she'll discount the steak on the bill. When time comes to pay for his steak and my burger, it was a really good burger. The steak was totally free. My dad paid, we made some small talk about Stampede, and then my dad and I left. Folks, this is how things should be done. Don't go crazy when they get it wrong like we see so many times on Reddit. Just tell them they made a mistake and don't get furious about it. You'll leave happier, the server will leave work happier, and it'll just be better all around. You know, OP, that's exactly right. I do not understand why some people flip out on waiters and waitresses over things they may not have even had control over. I've never understood it. There's no need to get upset, and the more antagonistic you are to them, the less likely you are to get quality service. Thank you so much for sharing this story. That's just a great little anecdote of how to correctly handle a situation like that, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to share it. Thank you all so much for watching today. Your support of the channel has been incredible this last week, and I'm so grateful for all of you. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Now enjoy the rest of your day, have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you all Monday. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.